So let me assist you. You know what? Is there another cable here? Any other cable? Let's find this one. Oh, one that they lock it. Let me just do this one. Alright, so let's just call this one. So you were supposed to fix it. What happened? One I arranged. So you have to now cut it and rearrange it. So for me to do this his pattern, right? That means I have to make the cable long, which professionally I can't I don't like when it's too long. It just to be optimal. So the blue one you go with it, please don't forget. So so this is how you do it. The battery is low. Centered. 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 So maybe we are good. So just connect this one. Alright, so fiction now. Let me have you connected? Where's the line? Easy. Which cable is this blue one? It goes off and on. I don't know. Is going off and off? Let me see. Let me see. Yeah. Doesn't indicate no. It's not indicating no. Is your own showing? Check. Yes. It's showing. Yeah. Is your own showing? Um, let's. So okay, let's still be connected to the wireless. So I want everyone to be connected to the switch. There's 550 there's 560 there at this switch. So, enable your 50.0. So, so this one. This one. No, no, I want everyone to be connected to the switch. Even though you are connected to the the router wirelessly, right? So I also want everyone to be able to switch their cable. Yes, sir. Yes, so it's, is it network or the internet? We're talking about network or internet. If you want to unblock, but just said you can create more. Wait, wait. What's see, wait, it's not sure, it's not stable. I'm a thing stable. I don't know why you know it's not stable. Okay, this data is, if it's the switch set. So you've given me your own cable, right? You collected this one, right? Just push it out. Is it showing? Eh? Which one are you checking? Yeah, so this is where I want you to always check. So, which one? This one, okay. So, so it's fine. It's stable. It's stable. Hold on. I need to confirm something. It seems to, return that cable back to him. Yes, give it back to him. Just carefully. You don't, you have to press before you, yeah. Just, for the case of adapter is actually working. Or yeah, maybe it has not been driven. But normally it doesn't. Let's see from, even though even though it's not, if it has not been driven at all, it will not even show here on network adapter option. So but let's see if device manage. The other one is showing, right? The one you connected. So you're only showing that you have like, okay, we'll try this one to use the network basis. Let me just try to do manual updates. Switching. So just showing. So let's so this is what we'll be doing, right? So I'm sharing a picture to the group. Yeah, Mr. Ahmed, you join. You join the session, please. I'll send the link. Okay, so what I want us to look at is this, right? So in every local area network, right? Like you can show us that image. Every local area network would one of which device is a major player in the local area network? A network device. Which network device is like the central main central device in the local area network? A switch. Thank you. So we have the switch here, right? So we also have the router, which is also here in this our LAN, right? So but the router is the guy that will take us out, and right, so is the guy that will do the internet networks, connect networks together, right? So now we are all connected to this switch via a network cable, right? We can also be connected to. We can power on this. The adapter is there. Power on this wireless router. Okay, I think I'll use this one. Let me use this one, right? So even this wireless router, right, can be connected to this switch, right? So via same straight through cable, right? So now what we are trying to establish here, we are in a local area network, right? So we've looked at authentication using Active Directory domain controller. So whereby any user that wants to have access to resources, hmm, thank you. So any user that wants to have access to resources in our server must should be part of our Active Directory, our domain controller. All right, you can share your screen and things on things. So any user that wants to have access to resources on our server, right? So we'll be the one to create user unique username and password, right? So that's one area of security, right? So in a case whereby there's no active directory in some local area networks, right? There's no active, there's no domain controller running in any server, right? So even though there's even a domain controller, we can still implement VLAN. We can still integrate VLAN or implement VLAN in our local area network, right? So very, very important. So I'm going to tell you what this VLAN is all about, right? So now bringing in the Active Directory, whereby you create username and passwords, right? So or you create groups or organization units in your domain controller and attach users to each groups. It's similar to VLAN, right? So in the case of VLAN, right, you see all of these ports here, these switches, right? You see this switch, these ports in this switch. So this is probably more than 48, if I'm not mistaken, right? So boys, I'm seeing for 30. Let's just say all of these ports, they are one network. In local area network, right? So like we said, switches are the major player, the central device in a local area network, right? So now imagine you now logically segmenting this network, right? So as it is now, we are in one network. So what we want to do with this VLAN, we want to partition our networks, right? So we want to logically segment this network, whereby we can do it based on departments. Like, okay, these guys are the IT guys, these guys are the maybe procurement or the sales guys, right? So we can segment the network. So whatever is going on in your network, they won't see it. So that's what we're trying to do, right? So that's what we're trying to do. It's very, very important. So that's one key area of local area network partitioning or segmentation. right? So, and after we do this, right, so we'll now do mark security, right? So we're going to integrate port security on this switch as well, right? So that's what we'll be doing. So now, if you look very well here, we have, let's, how many, we are connected to how many ports? How many ports are we connected actually? So four, right? So let's say these four ports, right? If we are using a 192.168, a class C private IP address, a 192.168.10.0 network, right? So then you give your own 10.1, or let's, okay, 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4. No, it's one network. You can all communicate, right? So when we integrate VLAN, the two you will not be able to communicate anymore. So except the two ports. Now we are adding ports. It's not even about IP now. We are attaching ports to VLANs. We'll create the VLAN and then attach ports to the VLAN. Right. So so let me take you back a little when we did the local area network. We said each port of a switch represents a separate collision domain. Right, so each port of a switch itself is one network, but each port of a router, I mean the fast Ethernet port or the gigabit Ethernet port, the networking port represents separate network. So what the switch is trying to do now is trying to work as a router, right? Whereby we'll create network. Normally, everything here is just one network. So you are trying to partition this switch so that segmenting this ports so that it will work like a router. Normally, switch will just do switching, right? Router can do both switching and routing, so it depends on the kind of router, right? So now, if you can see based on this picture here, you can see that this is VLAN 20. These two computers, just like we have here, these two computers are attached to, we don't know which port they are attached to. Let's say attached to one is attached to one, another one is attached to maybe eight, right? They can only communicate. These other two, they are attached to, and if you remove your cable and connect to another port, right, you've lost connection. So that cable has been tagged, has been picked for that particular system. No, no, no. I mean on the port, so on the port of the switch, right? So if Mr. Okay, let's do it now. Right. So here we have I'll be sharing my screen while you project it. Right. So I'm already connected to this switch. So I'll be doing the configuration. So then we will not do it together so you understand. So there's a second image I shared with you. I shared to the group. Okay, so look at this now, right? So this is just one local area network. This is how it is. Everybody would have, this is 192.168.10.0. So this one will be 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, whether it is printer, whether it is phone, like that. So when it's VLAN now, so we are segmenting the network. So these people, even though no computer is connected to this port yet, even though no computer is connected to this port yet, right? So but it has been designated, it has been assigned to a VLAN 10. So if you connect your cable to any of these ports here, you are on VLAN 10, right? So if you cannot communicate with these people here, so it has been logically segmented, right? So that's how it is. Then look at when you are now connecting two switches together, right? So you can merge these two. You can do the native VLAN. So you can, these two will be VLAN 10. It continuously. So it's like you replicate what you have here. So now this is now what we call trunking ports. So we are going to establish this. So for now, you see the difference here. One local area network. This one is segmentation of. It's just like our what's it called? The IP subnetting, where a slash give us created logical networks for us. So just see how it is here. So just one switch giving us multiple networks, sub logical networks. Let me use that one. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to connect. I'm going to access the. No, you're not going to stop sharing. Okay, yes, on Teams you stop sharing. So I'll share. You can see my screen, right, Mr. Please don't go anywhere. So you expand the screen so they will all see it. And close this here, right? So expand this please. Okay, I'm going to expand. Don't worry. Right, so now and this is packet tracer. So we're going to be setting up here and we're going to be setting up here. Right, so now let me call up Putty. So I'm going to call up Putty now. So I'll be using Putty to have access to this switch. Right, so I'll be using Putty to have access to this switch. Right, so using this cable, so the Putty, which is the like the hyperterminal that we used on our packet tracer. Right, so using this console cable to connect to this the console port. Right, so the console port of the switch is a managed switch. Right, so now so what should I use there? Serial, right? So I'm going to use stereo as when I'm telnetting or SSH, I'm doing remote accessibility to the switch, right? So I'll use either SSH or telnet, right? So this one is also remote login for LDP, right? So I've not used this one before, right? So now it is telling us the COM ports, right? So COM1 by default, right? So but we don't know, eh? This one has a lot of stuff. This one, on packet tracer. Oh, this no, this is the real. This is the. Let me make my eyes packet. So this is the. Put in here. You understand? So now I don't know the actual ports because this cable is connected to my laptop via USB, right? So I need to confirm the exact COM port. I think that we were looking at it, right? So before I'll be able to have access, right? So I've selected serial already, right? So now I have to come to my device manager. So I'll come to device manager, right? So device manager and then USB. So it's showing us COM6. Okay, it's showing COM6. So I'll go back to PT, right? So you know why we are doing this, right? So because most times in an organization, I'm just going to indicate COM6 there. In an organization, so your boss or you are asked to partition your network, right? So this one local network, this one way, right? So or it might not be that everybody, only the accounts, because we don't want, when we are using Wireshark will not be able to capture what is going on accounts departments, website or thing, because maybe the accounts or the admin, they deal with sensitive data. So we don't want people from the people that comes, might be a public office that anyone that comes in, or even though it's not a public office that people comes in and goes in and come in and out, right? So we have, let's say we have over, there are some offices you go, I've been to an office, right? They have like about almost 60, 70 in a building, just a story building and ground floor, they have over 60 staffs working. So, and there are some departments, it might be restricted by, they say, do not out of band. But you know that out of band is just physical. What of logically, how do we assess it? So when the black hats or the attackers come, they don't need to come physically when they start of band. So we have to look out for tools or means how we could gain unauthorized access to that admin or that place that they indicated bodily written out of band. So by using some of those tools that we use, we want to see what they are doing, sites they are visiting, right? So now, in that kind of scenario, you as the IT in-house IT guy, you bring up VLAN into play. Let's just logically segment these people so that nobody should have access. They will still be connected, all the devices will still be connected to the router. The router will be the guy providing internet access, but people within our LAN cannot have access to the network with partition. That's VLAN coming into play. So that's why you saw that picture, those two pictures where VLAN is here, local area network. So when LAN has been segmented, we can, so except we want to route, and we can now decide if we partition our network, maybe created like 4 VLANs, we can now say, okay, VLAN 20 and VLAN 10 only communicate, while VLAN 30 and VLAN 40 shouldn't communicate. You understand? So we can do that. You get, so we can as well do such. You understand? So now I'll change this to 6. So 6, right? So then I will say come. So it's 9,600 baud for the speed, right? So open. So I'm in the switch. So in this mode, what should I type? Switch greater than sign. What should I type? It's similar to the same configuration on the router, but there are little differences. The router and the switch, they are different. So they might have one or two similarities, but that they are different. Oh. But this is a layer 3 switch, so it has some functionalities of the router. Enable, right? So enable, then enter. So I'm in the privilege mode, right? So what should I type there? Configure terminal. Thank you. So config C, right? So now here we have so let me say show. I'm in global mode, so I do show IP interface brief. Let me see if it will work here. I don't think I've really tried it on do show IP interface brief, right? So do show IP interface brief, right? So it's telling me that it's showing me listed is listing all the ports. In fact, I'm seeing one IP here, 8.51. So I don't know. I have to remove that IP, right? So, or if you are connected to port 3, you can disconnect port 2 is connected to port 3. So take it. So no need to remove it. I don't know why it was why we have there. Who's connected to port 3? This is 1, 2, 3. So let's put it there. If not, so let me connect. So let's do it this way. You are who is this? Who is this? Who is connected to this one? So I want 1 and 2. They should be connected to 1 and 2. Wow, wow. Alright, so let me take this one to port 1. Let me take Mr. Desmond's one to port 1. Right, so and then who has this one? This is you, right? Yeah, so this one is this is you, right? So both of you will be on 7 and 8, right? 7 and 8. I don't know why his cable is always touching. I don't know if it's the port safe. Keep touching. So this one is for you. I hope this thing will not take time to come up. This one is this one is it's not up yet. So this two is coming up. So this one is taking time. It's like he wanted to come up then he went back off. Right, so right, so we can be running a ping, right? So let me just hit enter. So I don't know if it's the cable set. Is that cable okay? It's okay. How is it? Okay. Isn't that the one that you did? Now we we're saying that it's not working. Maybe it's even working itself. Is it now? This is the one you did. So let's try. It came up now. Hmm? It is. It is. Okay, that means you to know enter. Where is that clicking to? It's coming up. Just look at it. Is it up? It's initializing, right? Is it showing green now? Still initializing. Showing green. Amber. Okay. Yeah, we'll just use number 7. Is it showing now? Let's allow it. Alright, so even when those things were going on, it's going on. Alright, so number port 7, right? That's port 7. Alright, so I did show, do show, um, do show IP interface brief. Right, so it will just show me the status of all the ports. So it's same thing on our router, right? So when we configure IP address, so we always do show IP interface brief to show us the status of the ports, right? So the status of the port, whether it's up or down, if IP address has been configured. Another way we do again is to hover, if it's packet tracer, we'll just hover our mouse to the switch or to the router. It will show us the IP addresses and status of the port. Yes. So like that. So here we have, I didn't really see all the status, but it's just the command to show us. Now, so what do we want to do now? We want to create VLANs. There's no VLAN. So let me say do show VLAN. Right, so I always like doing show on this mode. If I'm doing it on the privilege mode, I will be going and coming forward, back and forth. So I always prefer doing my show on this mode. So so do show VLAN, right? So do show VLAN, right? So there's a default VLAN, right? So default VLAN is oh, it seems I don't know if I created the VLAN before. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, port 24. Right, so there's a default VLAN, which is the native VLAN, the administrative VLAN. It's active. No, port 24 is not there. Right, so probably we'll attach it, so I will check. No, this VLAN 1. Eh? This VLAN 1. So they are all attached. So by default, all these ports, they are all on VLAN 1. We don't create VLAN 1. It's from 2. We don't create VLAN 1. Right, so this is how the you check here, you see, I can't really see it well. So let me just hit space bar. Right, so we can create VLAN 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 like that. But one, we are not creating VLAN 1. By default, everything are on VLAN 1. They are like in one network. Right, so all the ports, whether gigabits or the fast Ethernet ports, they are all on VLAN 1. So we want to create VLANs now so that um this port, when we create the VLAN, then we'll now attach the ports to their respective VLANs, right? So and we'll give the VLANs the name, and that based on the department, right? So now here we'll say so the command is VLAN, right? So the command is VLAN. So we're all going to do this together, right? So VLAN, right? So on the global mode, just type VLAN, right? So just say VLAN what by number. We are giving it a number indication. So that's data. So whether VLAN 1, VLAN 2. So which one should we do? I would like us to do 10 and 20. Yes, so we'll do either 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Right. So we can even create each VLAN for everyone. When your ports are connected, so that means you only communicate to yourself. You only communicate to yourself. So you can't communicate to anybody. Right. So but if I put the both in one VLAN so they can communicate to each other. Right. So and where like I said, we'll be bringing on port security here. If we now decide, even though we created how many VLANs, we attach the both of them on one VLAN. Okay, we used port 1 to port 5 VLAN 10, right? So and then for now they are just two. When the three other persons comes, they will connect to 3, 4, and 5, right? So on that same VLAN, right? So you know that if he decides that I don't want to connect to port 2, I want to connect to port 2. I mean or port 2 or port 3. Provided he was meant to be on that VLAN, it might still not work because of the port security we'll be implementing. That port that you're designated to is done majorly in banks. For that port it's meant to be connected, and it only recognizes his MAC address. If he changes his MAC address or moves to another system, you cannot communicate. Right? So that's the port security. You can see security is just there are different layers. So if we think VLAN is okay, bring port security. It's another serious tough security that can be implemented. Right? If you think port security is okay, there are other ones. So but let's see now. VLAN, what should it be? 10 or 20 or 2 or 3 of which one? Or 50 or 100. So just give me a number. So VLAN, what should we give it? VLAN 10, right? So VLAN 10, enter. So you can see now the sub global mode here now is config hyphen VLAN, right? So it's showing us config hyphen VLAN. So we are now in the VLAN mode. So here we'll give it a name. Say name, right? So what name do you want to give it? You want to give it maybe admin or marketing. So we can give it based on the department. We can give it based on what's any name. So it's just a unique name. So since it's our firm, we know the ports, we know these VLANs we are creating. As it is now, we've not attached any port, we are just creating the VLAN. So it's just there, but it's not active. So if you look here now, there's nothing like VLAN 10, it's only VLAN 1 that we saw, right? By the time we finish creating this one, if I do show, you see those two VLANs, but there will be no ports attached to those VLANs. Yes, so that's what we're trying to do now. So VLAN, the name. So let's give it which department you want, IT or technical? IT. Let me say technical. So it's the so technology or IT or technical. Let's say let me say tech department. Tech department is done. So that's created VLAN 10. So we give it a name, tech department. So let me just do one exit. Right. So okay, let's create the second one immediately. So VLAN what again 20, right? So enter. So what's your department? Fintech. Engineering. So name. You must type you must indicate the word name. Right. So name. Yes. So that's the command. So what should we give it? Agriculture. Eh? Engineering. So engineering department. So engineering department. This is when I was in school. When you come engineering department like this, those boys. uh, so exit. Right. So we are now in the normal. No, I've not saved yet. Yeah, after the switch not go. So let me say do show VLAN again, right? Do show VLAN. So let's see the so what's going on? I'm not no. It's not okay. There's VLAN 10 and there's VLAN 20. Right, so you can look at it here. Active. VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 active. But there's no port designated to that VLAN. I don't know if you are seeing it. So there's no ports attached to VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Yes. Eh? No, I did show VLAN. Do show VLAN to see. Right. So now what we'll do now next is to attach those ports that because we already know should you do range since your own is from one, let's say from 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 to 4 VLAN 10. Okay, you have VLAN 10, right? Okay, I want to start for it. So that means you'll be engineering. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean because I just want to do it serially accordingly. Right. So let's be in technical department now. No. The name is engineering. It's the word. So just like when you configure IP address, you will not say you will not go into interface mode first. When you go into interface, then yes. So for us to identify, it's not even complete without the name. So the VLAN should have a name. No, like after we do the VLAN, yes, VLAN 10. Department, just say VLAN 10 again. To stay accepted. Accept numbers or letters. I'm not my character. Right, so eh? Yes, we've not added. So that's what we are doing now. So interface. So this let's say these are the technical, right? Technical department. So this is engineer. So this is like VLAN 10 now. So this people here have VLAN 20. So now, if I want to add a single port, because sometimes you might have like about 1 to 12 ports. You want to be adding one after the other. So we can indicate range. It's just like in Nmap or in maybe advanced IP scanner, you say hyphen. So the range of IP address you want to scan in your network. Because we'll say interface. We'll go into the interface f interface range. Okay, I'll first of all type interface range. If I just want to, if it's just one IP, I'll just say interface f0/1, interface f0/2. But if there are series of different, not IP, I mean ports, if it's just one port, I'll say interface f0/1, then enter, then I will now add it to the actual VLAN I want it to be. But if there are range of IP ports, different ports, so I'll say interface, that range must be there, is the command, right? So interface range, then now say f0 slash is f when you say no, put it so remotely access, that is different. So we're in the switch now. The switch doesn't have any serial port. This is just a COM port. But the serial cable. So this is a serial adapter. This is a console cable. This is a serial adapter. So that's what it means. So it's just that's just the word, right? So the serial connection. So interface switch f0/1 to 66 is much now. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6, right? So interface range to 6, right? So 6, enter. So I think there's a mistake somewhere. Okay, probably I need to add a space. Um, F0 is that 0 or 1 or O? It's looking like to 6. Alright, so it's taking effect. So the mistake there was I was supposed to give a space. So I didn't give a space. I just did 1-6. It should be one space hyphen. Yeah. I'm only that's how I've been typing this. I don't know. So I can see the config if range is now in a range. So just do switch port access VLAN. What VLAN do you want to add it to? VLAN what? VLAN 10, right? So say switch port access VLAN 10, then enter. Right. So there is a port 3, not a switching port. Right. So port 3, it's accepted everything, but port 3 didn't accept port 3. So you can remember, if you look very well, you saw IP address in port 3. By default, you can't configure IP address on port on a switching port by default. These are switching ports. This is a switch. So switches are switch ports by default. It's like they are hardware based. So they are not logical. You can't configure IP address. Right. So for us to configure IP address on a particular port, we have to make that port not a switching port anymore. So we'll go into that interface f0/0, enter, say no switch port. Then you can now configure IP address. So this port is not a switching port. That's why it didn't accept it. By default, they are all switching ports. That port 3. That's why. So other ones, they are all switching ports. So if I want to now, let's remove that. Should we remove it? Configure IP address. Yes. So we probably want to make this a gateway. Right, so somehow we're kind of creating another network. By default, everything they are in one network. So any IP address you configure is the same IP address you configure. So, but if anywhere you connect this cable to, we can still communicate. Write our IP address on the same network, right? So that's how it's meant to be. That's the switch port, right? So, but when you want to configure, you want to take one port out, configure an IP address on one of the ports, it will not accept it. So you have to convert that port to a logical port. Configure when you configure IP address. So if you connect your cable to that port and you say you still want to communicate with us, you will not be able to communicate with us because it's on a different mode, right? So it's on a different mode. So yes. Yes, it depends. The way router this switch can do routing, but there are levels of routing that can do. Right, so this switch, I think I've used packet tracer, but I've not configured. I don't know, I can't recall some time ago, maybe to configure NATs. Except you can research about it. So I don't know if this switch can do NATs. As you can still check. Right, so router majorly, right? So these are the functions of the router. Connect networks together. Router has fewer ports, and their ports are routing ports. They are logical by default. They need IP address, but switch you don't even need IP address. You get, so just registers the MAC address of the devices that are connected. That's all. You get, so so this port 3, that let's just go on, right? So I'll still show you how we can configure IP address. To just remind you, want to configure, if you are asked to configure, in fact, I've seen a CCNA question back then, how to configure. They will give you a lab where you have different cables connected, different labs, I mean labs with connection. I don't know who has seen it before. You say, um, you, one topology would have like 30 questions. Cable is not connected, right? You see the cable showing what a different IP address or the right IP address but the wrong subnet mask. So you're going to be filling all those where those I don't know if how. So it's just exam practice, right? You get, so when you see something like this, you say then you know that, oh, I have to make that port a switching port, right? So you're now going to that interface F0/3, enter, then you now say no switch port. So you can now go back to the interface F0/3. Switch port access VLAN 10 now. It will go. So it will accept to be in that VLAN because it's not in the switching port. You get. So even when we are configuring, without IP address, we can't communicate. After we set up this VLAN, we don't need to configure IP address on this port on the VLAN, right? So we just need to only configure IP addresses on our laptops. Yes, so we not like we can configure IP address on VLAN, but we don't have to. Just configure IP address and to be different networks. So here we have so let's do range exit. Let me exit from this one. So interface range 192 interface range. I mean F0/slash 7 to 6 plus 6 abi 12, right? So now switch ports access VLAN what? VLAN 20. So switch port access VLAN 20, then enter. So now let's exit and say do show VLAN, right? So do show VLAN. You can see take department F0/1 except F0/3. F0/3 is not here. It cannot be. There are some things that the switch is like in a network. Router will say, I want to be the king of the network. But there are certain rules, there are certain rules of success. On this, the routers cannot even, you can't take the router hold of like in a local area network. But when you come to local, you say router is the king, right? So, but majorly the switch is a major player in that local area network. But it's just that the router is the device that would connect us to remote networks and then does all of the NATing, the routing and the like. So now we have VLAN 10, tech department active. So F0/1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Right. So VLAN 20, engineering department active. Right. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You understand? So let me just hit enter. So that's all now. So what we'll be doing now, right? I don't want to save. You ask me, I don't want to save. Yes, but it's always necessary to save. I didn't omit 3. The first one. No, that's one. We did range from 1 to 6. We didn't omit it. It was the router that recognized. I mean, the switch that recognized that port is not a switching port. Is so when we did show IP interface brief. I don't know if you saw it on interface 3. You saw IP. I think it was only interface that there is IP. I don't know if there's any other interface, but I think I saw it that interface 3 there was IP. And for interface 3 to have IP address, it means that it's no longer a switching port, right? So if we want that 3 to be part of that um, that VLAN 10, right? So we have to go into that interface. Should I do it? Right. So let's go to interface. Okay. Now let me do show IP interface f0/3. So let's just okay. I don't think that command is correct. So show IP interface. Let me just use IP interface brief, right? Oh, do. Thank you. So do. Alright, so that means that first one worked. So it's showing us the status of the ports now. You can see internet address 192.168.51. That's what we have on that port. So if you check other ports, you will not see this. And based on, because it's logical, I know we can't see this. That's why if you join the session, you see it. It's because it's logical now. So that's why some of this information is there. Assuming it's on a switch port, right, by default, there's some information that we will not even see here. So, but what I did now is just do show. I want to see the status of that particular port. You know, when I did do show IP interface brief, it showed me all the status, just but not in depth or in details on or a particular. Yeah, so just at a glance to see if it's on or if it's down, right? So, but now it's showing us status. So now control what C, right, to stop. Or let me, okay, I've hit space bar. So now let's do I mean that, let me go to the interface f0/3, right? Enter. So if we want to make this a switch port, just a switch port mode or switch, I think so I'll use tab to complete it. So I'm not too sure about it should complete. So if I want to configure IP address on this port, I'll say no switch port. Then I'll now say interface. I'm still on the interface, right? I'll now say IP space address the way we normally configure IP address on a router's interface, right? So what all I will do here is no, no, sorry, switch ports, right? Switch ports, right? So switch ports. So it's now back to a switch port, right? So now let's add it to the VLAN, right? To VLAN 10, right? So exit interface f0/3, right? Switch ports access VLAN 10, right? So it has worked. Eh? So switch ports access VLAN 10. So let's do show VLAN again, right? To see. So do show VLAN. So do show VLAN, right? So port 3 is there now. You can see port 3. Port 3 is part of it. So if you want to even add another port, maybe in the future, so we exhausted the 6 ports. So let's just manually you want to add like 2 more ports. Just say interface f 0 slash comma and interface just those 2 ports. Then you switch port access VLAN, the actual department or the VLAN you want them to those 2 ports. And it's the best way of segmenting local area network. You see, one thing I learned with this VLAN, I think it was in maybe 20 maybe 12, right? So it was even at Eric Moore. So where I was working before. So what we did then, it was in our office. So what we did then was we had this Observum servers. We had some servers that were still testing. We are still evaluating them. We don't want to launch them yet, right? So we created VLANs for them, right? So because what we do, we provide network resources, services, internet services for organizations, and we also manage some of their maybe network infrastructures there, right? So that's 2020. So now, when we did that, the purpose of that, we couldn't, because my boss knew then that I always like to try things. I always like to try. If I see a switch, I see a router, and if they've not configured it, like even though they are remotely accessing, they've not done it, right? I would want to look for something. I'll go and research and say, okay, can we configure? I've seen the name of the router. I'll look at for some of the features. Say, can we configure XYZ? So it was when I thought of, I have learned VLAN. then, but I needed to implement it. So I just suggested to my boss that we can do VLAN, set up VLAN. Right? So because we discovered that sometimes we could remotely, when we are accessing, we could see what's going on, but we don't want that. So we just wanted to run a separate network, a primary zone network, a private zone. Now, when we have access to our network, we can still see what's going on the server, right? So that's one of the, so we have to implement VLAN. You can see it's for, and another thing again, apart from security reasons, it helps to segment for efficiency. Bandwidth management is even very, very okay for bandwidth management. There is another advantage again. So, and when you logically segment the network, right? So, ISP gives us, I don't know how they do it, and depends on the internet service provider. So they will tell you that some are data capped, right? So some are unlimited, right? So the unlimited sometimes it's based on the throughput differs. There's some unlimited that will be like there's some unlimited that will be like this. So it's like the bandwidth, right? So it's based on what you paid for. So imagine we bought a bandwidth like this, right? We bought a bandwidth. I'm just giving you this scenario. So we bought a bandwidth like this, unlimited. Not like the internet will finish, right? So for a month, we've subscribed. It's still unlimited. So what determines the speed is the bandwidth that we bought, which is also called the throughput, right? So the throughput. So now, if we logically segment our network, everybody in their separate VLAN, that helps us to track, that helps us to manage the bandwidth as well. Just to track users going in and out, helps us to manage the bandwidth. And we can even implement another form of, in fact, the Micotic router can help us to manage those users, their throughput. Just create um, um, data cap, or not data cap, it's I'm trying to recall a QoS and peg on each VLAN. So that's their throughput. So on each of those ports, just peg throughput. So the Micotic router can do it. So now we have this six. Right. So now what we'll do now is to configure IP address. So let's configure the same IP address, try to ping, right? Then we'll now configure separate IP address. So configure 10.1, 10.2. Okay, let's start 10. 192.168.10.134, like that. So let's see if you can communicate. Then you want to ping to him, right? So want to ping to him first, like that. So on your computers, on your laptops, huh? On your host, yes, on your host. Thank you. So let me see that your, huh? You want to join? Where is um it's showing now. What was the network? Yeah, but I can't even see. No, I said it's showing now, but I can't see. I think I give up the network. Which one? This one. Okay, is this one? Okay. Eh? Internet too. You confirm. So this is what you confirm. So I'm coming. Let me see. Have you seen it? I'm coming. It's in 10.4, right? Yeah. Yes, I think it's here. But let me just confirm it. Yeah, this is one. This is the yes, yes, so it's now. So you're configuring 10.2. Abi 10.2. Just leave the gateway for now. So when we bring in our router, we can use the gateway. Hmm? One has then is this one? Is this one? Just double click. Right. I give it. No need for DNS. We just want to communicate with him for now. So if we need to browse, then we'll be needing gateway. We need to browse, we'll be needing DNS and gateway. For now, we just want to test out. No, remove it. It's not needed anymore. I think it was that time we were testing that switch. Yes, just save. So you just want the thing to is it blind? Yeah? It's 10.1. You can do a continuous flow. Yes, yeah. What did you configure? Hold on first. Wait. Let's use because our VLAN is our virtual network has 10. So let's use 60 dots. So change to 60.1, 60.2. Yeah, so let's change that dot of 10 to 60. So there will not be conflicts with our because one of the adapter here has 10. Yeah, so let it be 60. So I'll stop sharing. Okay? Yes. Who are you pinging? Who? No, it might be a firewall now. Just check. You can try to access it. Try to access the device. Alright, so but it's not showing the extension also, it should be showing request timeout, right? What is it showing at the request timeout? Alright, so now let's look at the firewall. Are you on the thing to continuously, right? Yeah. So check if you can ping, check if you can ping who is responding. So so open another app. So here's the 60. You have 60 here. You don't have 60 here. Right? There's no 60 here. You've not done okay now? Okay. Like let's take it. Are you hold on, the 168, 16, right? You're only listening to him, right? So he can reach you now, right? So, yeah, so it's firewall. So the IP address didn't save. I changed. It didn't save. I don't know what it didn't save. So yeah, so we do. No, it's not saved now. So we need to check firewall. Yeah. Remember to label it back to confirm now. Responding. Right? So when they ping to no when they ping to initially it was IP. When they ping to open a new tab, when they ping or both of you when they ping to him to confirm here. So what's the update at your end, Mr. So what's the update? It's 60.3. That's one you continuous ping. 168 dot 60 dot which one are you want to take? So continuously, right? So right. So now, oh, have you been able to reach him? Yes, I've reached him. You could it's replied, right? So you can't reach them, right? So can you reach him? Have you configured IP? You go to command prompts. Let's say IP config. No, open a new one. Whenever you're troubleshooting, right? So don't manage CMD. You can open like 20. Except there isn't it. So you said you change his IP address to 60.4, right? So which adapter is this? Adapter 3. Hope it's not the wrong adapter. You are even changing for wireless too. You cannot even browse with this one. You have 260 dot. And what am I saying? Scroll up. I think I saw 60 twice. Scroll up, Mr. There was a reply somewhere. You think your 240 is a switch. Switch is bouncing. The switch has one 8.40 IP. So, okay. Um, where's the let's see. 60.4. Which one? 60.4. Let's go back to the rest of other part. So let's see. Okay, I think it works better here. I don't go to is this one USB. Okay. Um, Is it wireless that changed? Maybe we changed the wireless. We changed the
How did you get here? Usually I'm looking for
it's here. Let's say a bit option. Windows 11 of Windows 11 has Windows 11 of what's it called?
I'm using the name of maybe this one is more. I'm looking more accuracy.
So where's the wireless? The one that we don't know the wireless change, but let's confirm. You don't have to change the wireless. It's second change the wireless. Hold on, let me use the browse. So this one is okay. So check his. So now you are running the ping to him, he's not responding, right? So Mr. Check your firewall, is the firewall disabled on your host. On your host.
Okay, on my own. Yes, now it's on now.
Disable it now.
Okay.
Don't disable it your firewall, please.
Maybe that was the day that we off it, but when I get home,
No, it's not necessary to return it.
I run
You
it.
can always
I
enable
run
ping.
it
You
back.
can also you can always enable ICMP. But for now, so let's turn it off. Right, so turn it off. Yeah, let's see. Hold on. So it's responding now.
Ah,
So it's responding. So now, why are you stressing him now? So you can't run a ping. You can't communicate with him, right? They can you is it responding? It's because of VLAN. So that's how it's meant to be. Right? Even though you are on the same, you are using the same 60.0 right now. So what we think of most times, do should we it works this way and it can still be we can still create another network. Should we be using 60 for all the devices in this, or we should just use VLAN 10 60, VLAN 20 70, VLAN. So that means even though you can communicate with your 60, you can't communicate with them, right? You know, it's a different scenario now. So let's just give them some. You know that VLAN, those days, what me I normally do, I use the VLAN number with the to match the network address. So I will not get like I'll say VLAN 20, they are 20.0 network, VLAN 10, they are 10.0 network. Yeah, so it's very easy for me. You understand? Why is he responding and who is this? Okay, you're pinging.
no, it's not a switch.
Okay, that's switch. Okay, but you're pinging to okay, you're pinging him, right? So it's a number that. So you can say, okay, these guys are 60 are 70, but they can only communicate. For now, for this, for both of you to communicate, right? It still doesn't really make sense. We need this router, right? So it's this guy that would now help us with the communication. So the switch might not we will need a router to route between VLANs. So that's what we call routing on a stick. So just go to Google, type routing on a stick. So on a stick here, let's say do it so state. So we'll connect one cable here. So is there any other fast Ethernet cable here? Routing on a stick. Just hit enter. Right. So one cable here, then this cable we connected to any of the ports of in the switch here, but you take note of the actual ports, right? So you don't have internet access. I thought you were connected to the meeting now.
Ah,
Are you not in the meeting?
uh,
What happened? Router on a stick. But you're not in the session. Join. Join please. It's very important to join. So for us to configure this, right? So we have to go to our, because I've already done it, and we can all not all just be doing this. So we will set up exactly what we have here: four computers connected to the switch on packet tracer. Then we'll do the same configuration. Then before we do the routing on the stick, you understand? So we'll all do the same thing that we just did, the same command, everything. Then the four computers that will be attached to the switch. The four computers that will be attached to the switch. You can now decide to, please don't leave this session again. So this is even, there are some other things we want to do too. It's better you are here. If you are virtual, you might not really, that's only you are watching the video. That's why we have packaging statue to help us. So you are connected now. You can share your screen. You can now share your screen. You share screen. Okay. Alright, so what did I say you should do? Yeah, so routing on the stick. Router on the stick. Alright, so just click on this image. Let's see this image. Just click on the image. But since we just have two VLANs, for me, I feel it doesn't really make sense. So why now? Right, so there are some cases whereby you have like 4, 5, 6 VLANs. At, no, you know one thing. One important thing is you can just decide to do it for a moment, for that period, because they need to communicate, or they need to share document, or they need to use the same printer. Like this, they can't print. They can't use the printer that they are connected to. That's one of the advantages. It's help efficiency of network, local area network. VLAN is one major, I don't know call it, it can be protocol, but it's one major technique, right? So that image, that beautiful image I saw. Okay, just go to image now, Abi. Just add image there. I'm seeing our I don't, so that's video. Don't play it. It's looking like video. Just start router on a stick image. I want to show you something. I want an image that will speak. That is looking like a video, but it's similar to what we even have here. But I want something like this with different colors. So that will show us the IP, the routing, the similar to what we have here too. You can see here. This is the image, right? So let's see the image. So that it's not taking us to one community. So scroll down. All right, thank you. All right, so this is. I wish I can move my mouse, but you just move your mouse, right? So these are how many this is native VLAN, native VLAN 50. So VLAN 10 and VLAN, this is VLAN 10, this is VLAN 20, VLAN 30, VLAN 77, right? So this VLAN, they are all different VLANs, so they can't communicate to each other, right? So if we now want these two guys to communicate, right? So we are going to route them on this router. Right, so that's what we'll do here. So interface VLAN 77, this is gateway. We'll just do it, but just save this image, right? Just for explanation. So this would we'll use this to explain, guys. Most times I prefer using images that would give me able to understand. So just save it, just compress and save. So minimize this now. Let's quickly call up our package and set up this. Right, so when we are done with it, we go to act on the stick, then we implement port security. Right, so call up your package tester. So let's do the same configuration.